All right.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today as we discuss some ideas for unleashing your staff and volunteer potential. Our panelists for this session today are two dynamic CEOs, Tamara from Hungary and Olga from Puerto Rico, and they're going to share with us what they did to keep their clubs moving forward in 2020. And in keeping with the conference theme of optimism and moving, future forward, we're going to focus on ideas to help you continue to recruit strong, youth-focused professionals and keep them. Our goal today in this session is to provide you with tangible information on how you all can create and build upon your current structure for recruiting, investing in, and retaining dedicated staff and volunteers if you're so fortunate for your clubs. I'm Sonia Llewellyn, the Director of Program Development at 501c Services, and I've been with 501 for over 20 years. And prior to that, I was the Assistant HR Director for a local nonprofit in California that served the intellectually and physically disabled. So a little bit about 501c Services. We are the provider of your HR services program. That program is provided to all of your clubs across the world at no cost to you. Your national office has provided the program. It's paid all of our fees. And it's designed to give you assistance and help and resources as you navigate human resources with your staff, because we all know the challenges that come with working with people. So just to also let you know that we have provided HR services to the clubs in America for the last 16 years. So it's a well-established program, and we really look forward to continuing working with you all. And if you have questions on how to use the service, I believe there's a number, maybe along with the bio, that will help you to reach HR services. So now I want our two leaders to introduce themselves and say a few words about their clubs and how their clubs are structured. So Tamara, will you start us off?
I am Tamara, and I joined BGC Hungary 2013, so something like 7 to 8 years ago. And the past 2 years, I have been responsible for managing the company, and I am responsible mainly for day-to-day operation. I have had something like almost 20 years of experience teaching children English, and this is my passion, and I'm very, very happy to be the leader of an organization that serves young children, young learners in Hungarian state schools. On a daily basis, we serve as many as nearly 700 children. Our clubs are located here in Budapest, which is the capital of Hungary in Europe. And we are present at 3 preschool sites and 2 elementary school sites. And it's been a great pleasure to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Olga.
Hi everyone. My name is Olga Ramos. I'm president for the Boys and Girls Club in Puerto Rico, and I became staff of the organization after being 8 years on the board of directors. So I was quite familiar with the organization, strategic direction prior to joining. And I have the privilege to serve over 1,300 kids daily through our 11 clubhouses and close to 300 employees. In Puerto Rico, where almost 60% of our kids live under poverty, our services are geared towards providing them with the tools so they can insert themselves in the economy when they're ready to do so. So great to be here.
Terrific. Thank you both for joining us. So we're just going to jump right in here. Our first question. So Tamara and Olga, when COVID forced us all into lockdown, how did each of you pivot or change how you did business? And Olga, would you go first, please?
Sure. In our case, fast. was a key thing. We have to respond fast, and we really move quickly to assess our community needs and our staff needs as well. This was a situation that all of us were involved, so it was important that we listen to both sides of the equation here. And then we moved to define a core team that would daily move the things that the organization needed to succeed in some way in this situation. And we said some daily outcomes. So we were all working towards those daily outcomes, and the organization was aligned to those. Then we started a communication-wide daily update, where both the administration and the staff in the clubs were understanding and knew exactly every point that we're working through in that day, and they received daily updates, so they knew what was moving along, what obstacles we were finding, and what things we needed to solve them. And then now with the second semester, we're still in lockdown in Puerto Rico, so we moved that to a weekly communication, where also our clubs are now informing back what they're doing and what their challenges are, but also what their successes have been. So all of the organization, every Friday, they know why we move together. So, and that has helped us create a we mentality as we move through these uncertain times. And after we kind of group and reorganize to provide services as quickly as possible, we converted our program into virtual. So 3 weeks within the first lockdown, we had our virtual programming going on, and we're figuring out ways to still stay communicated with the communities that didn't have access necessarily. To date, really quick, we have keep providing our staff with tools, both from a working perspective, virtual perspective, social emotional perspective. Last week, we closed a series of 5 parenting coaching sessions with all of our employees, so they can get tools to address their issues at home, but also when we're back in the clubs as well.
Terrific. Wow. Tamara, would you share how you changed business when we first went into lockdown?
Well, we needed to change many things. First of all, we had to create a completely different service model because we needed to move online. Some of the schools we were partnered with were forced to go online, so we needed to follow them, obviously. And through an enormous effort by the team, we managed to do that within 2 weeks. Starting from the closing of the schools. Just like Olga said, you guys needed 3 weeks. We needed something like 2 weeks, but it was really very overwhelming. Not many of you know, but our staff members are mainly from abroad. So we needed to, of course, understandably, they decided, some of them decided to return to their home countries to be with their families. But then with the remaining staff, we needed to, do a reset up. So we needed to have a look at who is staying, what were their most important needs. First, we tried to serve those needs. So we needed to provide both emotional and practical support for the team who stayed with us in Hungary. But at the same time, there were a few staff members who decided to move home, but they wished to continue working with us. So that was very interesting because we needed to provide the service online, working with a team. So we had to manage a team who was in different parts of the world, and also we had to work across different time zones. So that was really very challenging. At the same time, we needed to reassess the staff members. So those who stayed with us, what were their capabilities, what roles we could give them. So we ended up reassigning roles and responsibilities, and obviously we needed to make lots of decisions, and we had to communicate very quickly what the decisions were the decisions that were made. And that meant a lot of work for all of us. And then basically, there is a part of our business where we cater to the very young ones. the children in the preschool program are from 3 to 6-year-olds. So obviously going online was not a solution. So this was the time when we allowed parents and staff members a greater say in our decision-making process. And we were forced to temporarily suspend the services in the preschool clubs. Obviously, this meant a lot of work and it was a huge change. But at the same time, we were extremely happy when towards the end of the lockdown, both parents and the district people supported us, and subsequently we needed to restart the business. So that was something that we have not done for a long time. BGC Hungary has been in operation for 10 years. And it has never ever happened before that we had to suspend something, you know, like a service, a daily service, and then from a total closure, we needed to restart it again. And also we had to pay very close attention to government regulations and travel restrictions. Like I said earlier, our staff members are from mainly abroad. So whenever a new announcement was made, we kind of lost a few staff members. They returned home, so we had to start all over again, scheduling the sessions and, you know, moving the meetings around. So it was very time consuming. And but at the end, we managed to do it, and that was very rewarding. So at the end of the road, everybody was really very satisfied. And I might say that we have improved a lot in terms of communication. We needed to create new structures of communications. We learned how to communicate more effectively, more promptly, because time was something that we didn't have. And it was very important to be super effective.
Wow. It's so interesting how quickly so many of us learned to pivot and change and all the things that we learned. So I just want to recap, both of you engaged your staff in really important ways. Olga, you did this by drawing in club staff to, I know you had said earlier, brainstorm solutions. You built consensus and developed a we mentality. And Tamara, you ensured that your club staff felt safe and that their basic needs were met so that they felt secure and safe, and then that equipped them to continue to provide services in our new normal and move forward. Both of you made communication a top priority and communicated openly and honestly with your staff, so that, again, there was that clear sense of we're all in this together. You guys were very engaging, so it's engagement in action. Great job. So with this in mind, how did your recruiting efforts change? And was there more focus on finding staff with either experience or a comfort level with digital and virtual formats? So Tamara, would you go first, please?
Sure. So due to travel restrictions, on international travels, which was really very important for us, or has been very important ever since we started our business. So this was the biggest challenge, that it was no longer easy for applicants or candidates to relocate themselves, because of the travel restrictions, they are still not very, they are not able to fly in and relocate themselves. So we needed to find new channels to recruit staff members. And back in late spring, we reached out, and then we successfully recruited former staff members who are still living here in Hungary. We have not done that before because we believe that there is always a reason where somebody, takes another step in their career path or something. But we realized that people who used to like working for BGC Hungary, they really were happy to join the team again. And as a result, we just encourage them to refer people they know that might be suitable for the position. So with their help, we managed to reach out to candidates that I don't think that we would have managed to find otherwise. So that was one thing that we did. The other thing is that we used to heavily rely on agencies to recruit staff. And this pandemic situation has caused the agencies to change their policies. So we were not really able to accept all their new policies. So they were backing up, and obviously we do understand that they are not in an easy situation themselves. But we needed to renegotiate existing contracts, and that was really something unexpected again. The other difference that we do is that we used to recruit people annually. So around late spring, we started recruiting staff members for the oncoming school year. But this year, we've been pipelining and recruiting throughout the year, just in case, and it's pretty successful, I may say, because we managed to find quite a few people locally. We never tried to reach them until now, but now that we do not have the agencies behind us, we were forced to do this or use this new channel. And then the expectations of new recruits have also changed. It is obviously very beneficial if a candidate has previous knowledge and experience in using, digital or virtual formats and various tools. However, we learned that we need to, and we have basically created a comprehensive system and materials on how to, and we train the new candidates on how to use these virtual or digital tools. So obviously we are very happy if somebody has that experience, but it's not the top criteria. Also, another thing that we have not done earlier is that we started recruiting non-native English speakers. This is a significant change in the life of the organization, because I might say that working together with native English speakers only has previously been our unique selling point. And this is something that we had to give up on this past year. So we give assignments to non-native speakers of English as well. At the same time, it resulted in having a more multicultural team. And this is something that we team members and management welcome a lot. And I think that is really it. So we've been recruiting.
Wow, you've been busy. Olga.
No, it's amazing to me how sometimes things that are a struggle are blessings in disguise. In our case, our strategy called for more efficient ways of communication, and we had started doing some things with Teams and trying to do remote meetings, but all of a sudden we find ourselves with no other option than to communicate virtually. So, we advanced something that we wanted to do in 3 years to do it in the first part of the strategy. So, it worked out. In those first stages, as we were all learning to navigate this new world, we focused first on equipping our staff to be able to use the system. So everything from SharePoint to Teams, Zoom, even email, and all of these communication applications, we spent time for them to feel comfortable with. And also remembering that we were now going into their homes by using those tools, whereas before we were going to use them from the clouds. That was a big difference. And as we moved on with recruiting, because we kept doing services virtually, And with that change mentality approach that we used to address this pandemic, we were focused in finding people with the competencies. More than having them be virtually savvy, finding the people with the right heart and the right competencies, and then we were able to teach them whatever they were missing on the basic for the virtual life. If they have the virtual experience, that was a plus. But if not, we will help them navigate. And this also has been a learning experience for us as to how we can reach out to more people, even kids and youth that were not necessarily restricted to a location. And we decided internally that within all of the storm that was going around us, we wanted to keep it as close as normal as possible for our staff. So we were able to virtually do everything from summits, retreats, fun nights, happy hours, celebration nights, the same as we would have done in the organization, I mean, physically, but we decided to move to that. And I think that as we go on, I don't think we'll never go back to whatever it was normal for us. I think that for us, it will be critical to always find a person with a passion and with a mission-centered heart, and the rest will follow. And then we have to be ready to provide that rest. But it's something that has proven effective for us. And I think that going forward, I think the mission-driven heart will be even more critical than people who knows how to use the virtual tools.
I would say if you find somebody who fits in with what you're trying to do, you can teach those other things. Absolutely. I did want to point out to everybody that as we were getting into this more and more, you may have questions that are coming up that you want to ask our panelists. Please, there's a chat box function and there's a Q&A, a question box. Please use those. Send us your questions because we're going to have time at the end to address those. So obviously 2020 was definitely a year of challenges and learning new skills for all of us. And it changed the way we did things. Absolutely. Now, in light of this, Olga, when you're recruiting for club staff, where do you typically find your best employees?
We usually find employees that are teachers in our public or private system of teaching in Puerto Rico. Also, we have been able to do agreements with the university's placement offices that has proven very effective for us, as well as job fairs. With the virtual world, we have been forced in a good way to use more social media postings and bringing people that come through social media. Recommendations always help from employees or family members or whoever sees how you are engaged with the mission. And also we have right now, as we speak, 11% of our employees are alumni from the programs. So we use that as a feeding track to keep our services going. So we have a mix of those, and it also helps us when you have alumni being part of your program. That helps you transfer mission because they were leaders and they know exactly what we needed to do better when they were with us. So it works out for us.
That's terrific. Tamara, what are some of the challenges that you faced in retaining great staff, and would you share with us some of the solutions that you came up with to solve those issues?
Listed quite a few challenges. I mean, this whole year was full of challenges, and some of the solutions, I do believe that we must believe in ourselves. The past year, I've seen that so now that I see what my team is able to do, I have a better understanding of them, and I have a greater confidence in delegating them tasks that I used to do myself, for example. I do believe that because we rolled along this learning curve together along with the staff members, so these competencies were new to almost everyone. I just experienced that I no longer need to, lead by example to earn my team's respect. now we do have a new level of mutual respect for one another because we were in a challenging situation. We all succeeded at once, and I think that it was not a problem that that they could see that we are learning how to use whatever tools that were needed, daily or that we use every day nowadays. We learned how to use them or what to use them for together. And I think you just have to adopt to new situations. And there comes a time when you cannot, lead them by example or by showing them, but sometimes you have to take the learning curve together. And right now I have a team that is very strong, not only individually, but like as an organization. And I do believe that however catastrophic this pandemic situation seemed to be, it led us to provide a service today that I truly believe this service that we are providing is at a higher level right now than it used to be. So I'm really very proud. I do not have a secret magic box with all of the solutions. Yeah, but we have put our heart and soul into it. And if you find the right people, then, they will follow you. And having succeeding is really something that brought a lot of joy and it's a great achievement. We are very optimistic and we don't mind at all having had, so many challenges and problems, but I mean, it's been a great year, really, honestly. So from a professional point of view, it has been a very good year and it led us to great achievements.
It's funny how adversity often strengthens us, right?
Absolutely.
We all bonded and grew in ways we hadn't anticipated. Mm-hmm. So Tamara, as we are rolling into and continuing in 2021, unfortunately, we all know that we're still in the midst of a pandemic and we are continuing to have challenges. The clubs across the world face challenges in trying to keep their staff engaged. How do you do that with so much uncertainty still surrounding us all?
I think with open communication, I have always told them what the situation is. Like, if we were forced to suspend the business, then we were not, hiding it from the teachers. We communicated. We not only told them about the present days, but also we informed them about the oncoming 2 to 3 months. I did not dare to tell them more than I have seen myself come in, but I think they really appreciated the fact that they felt secured in their position. So I think that was very important. Also, we tried to boost their engagement with having not only these open communications, but we were having meetings where we sort of decided on important steps to take mutually. So until then, previously, we were managing the company. Sure. We thought we know it better and we just, did things by experience or by practice. But this was the year when nobody really had anything more, solid. Everything was just predictions, like what will the future hold? We did not know, but I do believe that it was very important and that's why they are so engaged right now and they are still in the team because they had a word and they felt that it's shared responsibility up to a certain level. I don't know if I have answered the questions.
Yes, you have. Absolutely. Olga, what would you add to that? How are you keeping your staff engaged as we roll forward?
Tamara's point before, it's been a learning curve for everyone. So I think one of the best things that this pandemic has brought up is vulnerability. There's value in being vulnerable with others and even with ourselves. So for us, keeping the communication channels open, being willing to listen to our communities, but also with our staff. When we work on mission, we're also usually driven to, let's listen to the communities, let's listen to the kids, but sometimes you have to stop and try to listen and feel what your staff is going through and what they're finding in ways to address their issues. And as Tamara mentioned, provide timely, accurate information as changes happen or are about to happen. We're in this together, we're facing uncertainty together, so let's tell them exactly this is what could happen. And if it doesn't happen, this other thing could happen. These are the scenarios. And as long as we're together, we're gonna prevail. As much as possible, remain flexible, especially with accommodating the situations that each of our staff have, and making part of the solution finding process. They have to be at the table. They have to voice their opinions. They have to voice their concerns. And to me, one of my key roles during this situation, and still is to keep people focused on the mission and make sure that we remove away all of those obstacles that are not necessarily mission driven, that can take their energy and their strength away, and always show them the big picture. Like, this is today, but if we look at tomorrow or 2 years or 3 years from now, this is how it looks like. Let's keep focused and prepare the organization for a strong return. As Tamara mentioned, we as well remain optimistic. We're gonna be better, we're gonna be stronger, we're gonna come back better than ever and ready. We've been preparing our people to be ready to receive the kids that we know that when they come back, we're not gonna receive the same kids. These are kids with added trauma, added social emotional issues. So we're working on being ready. And the last thing I would say is be available at our level and be vulnerable. In my case, I'm a mother of a 5-year-old, so the team has been able to see the struggle. So I have the same struggle that they have in addressing a kindergartner, being the teacher, being the president, and addressing myself, trying to understand what's going on around me. So I think it's been very powerful for them to see what personal life is for me as well. And that it's not perfect.
I couldn't agree.
Yeah, I have a kid.
I couldn't agree more with you. Yes, that has been the situation.
My daughter is in my conference call. Sometimes she's already knowing people, so she comes in and jumps in and addresses, and she shows the dog, and she shows we had some chickens over this quarantine. So for them to see that somehow became normal,
right.
They were also more at ease to show themselves as they are and say, I am struggling too. Today I have a class, today I have to be with my daughter, with my son. So to me, that was very powerful because you have to show it's real for you too. You're going through the struggle as well. So I think that just listen, and keep those communication channels open beyond the words. Sometimes being in the video, you look at what's going on behind, you look at the faces, at the tone of the voice. So you were able to afterwards send a text or call, are you okay? I noticed you were not. And for me, it's been great.
So it's a key factor. That's really a key factor, that you need to, be sensitive. And in times when, in our case, it was very important, and it's still very important that my staff members are really away from home. So they have no one to go home to, okay? They rent a flat. They cannot even share one because they were, worried about being contracted with the virus. So everybody lives by themselves. And being available is really very important. But what is more important is that what Olga has just emphasized right now, that they needed to be a leader, of course, but at the same time, they needed to be very personal and really ask them about what their needs are. And it's very important that, Sonia, you asked me what is it that I did to boost their engagement, but actually the club kids did a better job. than I did, because right now our clubs are open. Sometimes they are under lockdown, but just temporarily. And what I'm hearing day after day is that my teachers come to the office and they do talk about their, feeling lonely and feeling a bit frustrated. But what they tell me about is that how much love, attention they receive from the club kids, because this is really being among the kids is their bonding, and that's very important. They could not travel home for Christmas, so basically the kids, and now Valentine's Day is coming, so you can imagine how excited they are. So this is how we can ensure their engagement.
Well, thank you both so much for being the remarkable, thoughtful, empathetic leaders that you are. We are going to open it up now for questions from our audience, and I can't wait to hear the questions and the responses we have for them. So thank you both, and we look forward to hearing from our audience. So don't forget to use the chat box and the question box too, please. Thank you, everybody.
Pleasure to be here.
And practical support. Olga, maybe we can start with you.
Yeah, good morning. One of the things that we did and still do is to listen to our employees, to our staff, to see what the needs were. So some of the things that we've done is to provide that practical support. We did some listening sessions that were periodical to try to understand what were the needs at the moment at their homes and we work as well. So we were able to do some adjustments and be flexible to accommodate. And the other thing, as we were going through, it's almost a year from the lockdown, we were also providing tools for our staff on how to parent. We just finished a series of sessions and workshops to give them tools, because we serve kids and youth, but we cannot live apart from the reality they have at home. So we want them to be, functional in both levels. And those are some of the things that we have done. To me, what has been the key is to really listen to them, to listen to their needs, to listen openly with no agenda other than to understand what's going on in their minds, and also address their concerns. Speak a truth, the organizational truth as to what are the challenges we're encountering, so they have that part of their life kind of solved by having clarity, and then trying to fix or provide those avenues for them to address their personal issues as well and create that balance.
Wonderful. Next question says, I'm not sure if I missed it, but has any of the centers opened physically to resume for children? And if so, how many children do you have on a given day? And what procedures do you undertake? That's from the Virgin Islands.
Currently or last year?
I think currently.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In our case in Puerto Rico, we just this semester, starting in January, we started doing limited services for kids to come to our clubs and connect. So we have any team between 15 and 20 kids and youth every day in our facilities, so they can connect to the virtual classes. The other thing that we started doing this semester as well is to provide outdoor activities within the guidelines. We have very strict safety measures that follow also the guidelines for Puerto Rico, but we have seen, that the kids and youth prefer to have that in-person services. So obviously, because of limitations with this pandemic, we cannot have everybody back at the same time, but we're trying to do those rotations so they can have some sort of in-person service. For us we did this pilot on the technology access last semester, and this year we decided to open our clubs, and we have had great response from the kids and the parents. So they're coming back to that safe place that we aspire to be for them.
How about Tamara? Do you have children?
Yeah, I mean, here in Hungary, the government restrictions are not that strict, I guess. So in the preschool sites, all our groups are functioning. Parents are requested to to pay extra attention to the health of their children. So with the slightest symptom, they are, asked to stay at home. And instead of shutting down like a whole building or a site, they isolate groups. So we have to follow the 10-day quarantine. That's the general regulation here in Hungary. So once somebody was, tested positive, then the group is isolated, but the site itself is still open. In the school, everything seems to be quite normal. So in general, if every group is open, we serve something like 720 kids a day in person.
How many locations is that?
5 locations. There are 5 locations.
We have another question from Vincia in the Virgin Islands. How do you actively engage your children online, as well as how do you boost your daily attendance via your online portals if you haven't been or weren't physically open for children? Can you talk a little bit more about just your online?
In our case, when we went virtual since May, but we have had the benefit that we have been able to keep our full program open. So every day we have mixed the virtual versus in person. So even though we're providing virtual services, our families are coming through the clubs to get their daily food services. So it's a way we've been able to engage them with activities like the circus day, and they come and our staff is dressed up and just providing their foods and their materials to take home. So it's been a way for us to connect with them and keep that adult connection that they look for with our staff.
Here in Hungary, depending on the age group, we switched to online services with the kids basically 6 and above. But, with kids under the age of 6, there was no way to go online. But we had great engagement. I mean, both kids and staff member enjoyed it a lot.
So I have a quick question. Will you continue to offer some sort of virtual experience at, post-pandemic world?
Definitely, that's what's happening. We have, we gained experience in using platforms we were not skilled, earlier. And we do truly believe in their benefits and success. So yes, we are aiming at using them. Mm-hmm.
I have one more question. We have like a minute and a half left. So this is just be real quick, but we have a question by Leslie from Cameroon. Do you all pay your staff normally, as was the case when there was no lockdown? Is your staff being paid as they had always been?
In our case, yes. We have a belief as an organization that whoever is in is going to be well. So, our staff, we've moved heaven and earth so they can get paid, but they have been providing services and help us come back and get ready to the bounce to return to our clubs, which we know is going to be a bit more complicated than before because of the situations our children were carried. But yeah, we pay them.
Tamara, I couldn't hear you. Sorry. Did you say the same there?
Same here. So we do pay them, or did pay them, the same amount as before the pandemic situation. Even if a group is isolated or under a lockdown, our staff members get their payment, like their full payment.
That's wonderful. All right. Well, I think we have like just a few seconds left. So I just want to thank everyone. Sonia, thank you so much for moderating.
Oh, my pleasure.
And Tamara and Olga, thank you so much for sharing your stories. It's been a really great session. We hope to kind of continue this conversation post-conference. It's been great.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.